Welcome to the FlopHaus FlopCast, the podcast where we pick a theme, talk about it, play some games, try to make each other laugh, do some interviews,
eat lunch,
take a break,
remember to stretch,
brush our teeth,
and have a blast.
My name's Ethan.
I'm Lacey.
And I'm Adam.
We are the FlopHaus team. We produce comedy, content, entertainment, and now a podcast. This is episode 3, and our theme today is true crime.
Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. So we're going to be talking about rape, we're going to be talking about slaughters, we're going to be talking about blood.
Necrophilia.
Trigger warning, trigger warning. This is a trigger warning because our theme today is true crime. It's going to include some really intense stuff.
Challenging part is we're going to be laughing at it. And you know, we just got to do it.
Yeah, I gotta laugh at it.
Laughter is the best medicine.
Not if you're dead.
Nope.
Doesn't bring the dead back.
Yeah, what is our fascination with true crime?
I think we want to feel like we're a part of solving the mystery.
Oh, everyone has a little tiny detective inside of them.
Yeah, and you can say, I think she's guilty because she said this. Or,
I knew all along.
yeah. I think we also like when you drive by a crash, you shouldn't look because you really don't want to see
Speak
like
for
bloody
yourself.
bodies, but you do want to see, like, there's something about seeing that like gruesome, horrific thing that we all like. That's
It's like rubbernecking a car accident.
Yeah.
Wow, TV shows and documentaries, and lately Netflix had Making a Murderer, which was a huge hit. Mm-hmm. And then there's a couple podcasts out there like Serial and Accused and stuff. So all those things fall into the true crime category. I've heard people refer to binge watching those types of shows like Forensic Files as murder porn, like private little fantasy, like, guys, I can't come out. I'm just not feeling well. And then they go into their bedroom and watch 10 episodes of Unsolved Mysteries.
why do we do that to ourselves?
I don't know.
Is it because we all have the secret desire to be a serial killer?
Or it makes us feel sane, in control.
Or it makes us feel understood, like there are other people like us out there?
I think it's to see what happens.
Just to see what happens.
See what happens next.
It's time for a segment that we like to call
Serial killers, it's what's for dinner.
Serial killers, it's what's for dinner.
I like that.
Serial Killers, It's What's for Dinner.
We're going to talk the in and outs of some specific serial killers, give you the juicy details to these cases, and the inside lives of the minds of these serial killers all the time.
Shout out to Phil, our roommate. He can really throw back a bowl of cereal.
Oh!
Serial killer. You don't like that joke?
Okay, so Mr. Voltner, he was originally a mayor of this town called Winter Haven, and he got in all this like money trouble, and apparently he faked his death. Then, okay, he comes back and he made this suit where he has this like electric like battery pack. He would like shock people.
What?
And
It's a comic book?
well, it's not a comic book. But this is...
We're talking
this-
about true crime.
I know, but this was my first introduction to true crime, which was Scooby-Doo.
Oh, what?
What?
That's not,
That is not true crime.
Really?
No.
Yeah, they present a crime and you have to solve who did it.
That's
Yeah, but
a
that's not
mystery.
Okay, if you're ever watching Scooby-Doo, though, some really good advice. It's not who you most suspect. It's not who you least suspect. It's who you middle suspect.
It's always the fucking janitor.
Well, in this case, it was the mayor. Okay, so my actual serial killer is Elizabeth Bthory, and she was a countess in Hungary. She lived from 1560 to 1614. She's got some awesome names. One of them is the Blood Countess.
Oh, the Blood Countess.
Because it was said that she used to bathe in virgin's blood to preserve her youth.
Yeah, I know that does help with keeping the skin nice and porcelain.
It's
and
actually wouldn't happen because of coagulation. You know? She was
Maybe
a
she had
cute-
an anticoagulant.
or a warm tub.
Wait, Bethany? Is that where the term bloodbath came from?
Yeah, like Blood Bethany.
Yep. Absolutely. Actually, the original Dracula, that character was based on some of the characteristics. So she was accused of killing up to 650. That was the highest count. There's supposedly over 300 testimonies of women and close acquaintances. One of the funny ones was she forced some of her victims to cook and eat their own meat that was often made from their buttocks, and she would have them make sausage. She made the charcuterie. I mean, damn it. So
I think I would hurry up and just lose my virginity to avoid getting murdered by this woman.
Oh wow! So those are your options.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, my butt sausage probably wouldn't be very good.
Oh, is that where the term eating ass comes from?
Oh,
It is.
Wait.
No. Here's the deal. Okay, the Palpatine at the time, George Thurzo, he was massively threatened by this Elizabeth chick, right? Because she had huge power. Her husband just died in war, and she was about to marry this other guy, and they were going to have more money than God. So this guy, George, was like, no, this isn't happening. And he started these rumors about her. Apparently, she did these crimes with a bunch of accomplices, and all the women ones had their fingers cut off and then were burned alive. And then the only male accomplice involved, he was treated very mercifully, where he was beheaded first and then thrown into the fire.
Huh.
So how do you feel about that?
It totally fits the characteristic because she's like a countess.
You can get away with murder if you're wealthy and
apparently she was very rude. She was curt. She was not polite. She did not have very many friends. Probably had a lot of enemies. But a lot of these accusations, like stabbing, could have merely been like amateur acupuncture or these full-body stinging nettle relief.
Bloodletting.
Yeah, or beheading, bloodletting. Who's to decide? So,
She was just a naturopath?
yeah, an amateur naturopath.
Okay. What happened to her?
Oh, she got locked away into like a room, and we don't know,
Solitary confinement.
till death.
Oh.
And I'm just gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
oh right.
I'm ready.
What's more likely? An outlandish list of violence perpetrated by a cadre of old women over decades, or an orchestrated persecution against a powerful, harsh, and independent woman in the age of actual witch hunts? It's a true crime, and it's unsolved. If there was DNA testing back then,
I blame the detectives at the time. They bumbled it. Wait, what year was this?
yeah, 1560 to 1614.
Man, it was so much easier to murder people then, back in the 1560s.
Yeah, you could just burn them alive. That's steak.
My serial killer is the Granny Killer, otherwise known as the Monster of Mosman. John Wayne Glover. No relation to John Wayne Gacy. Don't name your kid John Wayne anything, because they're really likely to become a serial killer. So yeah, he was Australian, and I think he might have been the first serial killer in North-South Wales, which is Sydney area. He was known as the Granny Killer because he would stalk grannies as they were on their way home from shopping in the afternoon, and then he would bludgeon them to death. Oftentimes he would choke them with their pantyhose and stuff their pantyhose in their mouths and all kinds of other gruesome things.
Oh, good
Serious, nasty stuff to these poor old grannies. Some of them were like affluent granny. It was like a nice neighborhood.
fuck?
So this was in the 80s, and over a period of like maybe 9 months or so, killed up to 9 grannies.
God. Why?
Yeah. Well,
That's the question.
there's some theories that he's had some bad experiences with older women. He may or may not have had an abusive mother. He had a bad relationship with his mother-in-law, amongst other things.
Or maybe
So
he just needed a cookie.
maybe he did.
Unlike Fred Durst, who did it all for the nookie,
Oh.
the Granny Killer did it all for the cookie.
Believe it or not, he's Fred Durst's great uncle. No, he did work in a retirement home. He had a family. He was well respected. And so maybe that's also part of it. Maybe he had like some weird secret obsession and he just had to kill. They caught him. His slip up was that he actually killed his girlfriend, who was like
Dressed like an old granny.
she was like the youngest woman that he killed, and she was like in her 60s, and so they were able to narrow it down to him as a suspect, and then he admitted to a bunch of the murders. And then he committed suicide in prison and wrote a really interesting suicide note that says "no more grannies" over and over on it.
No more grannies.
He even left like a drawing of a park and wrote 9 on there. And anyways, that's the granny killer, the monster of Mosman, John Wayne Glover.
He just snapped
He
one day?
snapped and decided to take it out on grannies.
Not the demographic I would go after, but
I guess it's better than children.
Maybe he was confused. What if at the retirement home he saw that these grannies were unhealthy and they were being treated poorly, and he had like deep compassion for them, and then he's like, these women are in such pain, I just want to help them. And then
by
he started
strangling them with their pantyhose and bashing their heads into the concrete.
No, he was helping them.
You are a serial killer sympathizer.
yeah, we don't need to sympathize with the granny killer.
I'm not trying to sympathize with him. I'm just trying to understand.
He stuffed pantyhose in their mouths.
You have to understand these people are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
he's
a
burning in
sickness.
hell right now.
I want to talk about a more contemporary and well-known serial killer.
Ooh.
He's one of my favorites, and I feel weird saying this.
Weird.
Do you have like serial killer trading cards? And it was like your favorite. I'll trade you a Dahmer for a...
Oh, come on.
What?
Oh, I've been trying to get the Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
His rookie card?
Yeah.
How many kills does he have?
44.
Oh, wow.
You know those like teen magazines that are like dedicated to one like popular celebrity among like young teenage
yeah,
girls?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like Jonathan Taylor Thomas had one for a
Yeah,
while, and
JTT.
like One Direction. What if they had those for serial killers?
I think there should be a serial killer go, where you walk around in the woods, a real serial killer
Like
pops
Pokemon,
out.
Like Pokemon Go.
Yeah,
You just
but
have to
serial
swipe your
killer
phone
go.
until he goes away.
No,
Until
and then
catch
you
him?
have to solve. He like leaves a clue. You find a dead body,
And you
and then
catch him.
somewhere real, like let's say we're in Portland, Oregon, somewhere on the waterfront, there's a dead body on the ground, and you have to solve the clues, and then go to the next spot before the serial killer strikes again.
Oh, I like that.
Good ideas happen.
We are patenting that right now. All right, so who's your...
Okay, so the charismatic and good-looking, I hate to say it, Ted Bundy.
You got a thing for Ted Bundy?
Wow, you got a little Bundy going on under there?
I hate that there are these serial killers that are like attractive men, you know? It makes me question every man I've ever met that I've been attracted
Anytime
to.
you watch some murder porn, you get a Bundy.
You get a little Bundy.
He was undeniably a very handsome man, and I think that's what allowed him to kill so many women. There are some fun facts about Ted Bundy, which
Called
we
those
tell
Bundy fun facts.
Bundy's of fun.
Bundy's of fun.
You guys want to play it as a game?
Yeah,
or do you
let's
want me to
play
just-
Bundy's of fun. It's a game.
Bundy's of fun.
We're going to play
Bundy's
the
of
game.
fun.
Bundy's of fun.
Okay, so Ted Bundy reportedly kept what from his victims as mementos?
Eyeballs. Oh, I'm close. Oh, ear.
Teeth.
No. Put them all together, and what do you get?
Faces?
No, a head.
Oh,
He kept
the
their
whole
heads.
head?
Yeah, you would take their heads back to his
God, I know
apartment.
nothing about
No, he attached them to sticks and dressed them up and danced with them across his living room. I'm just, I don't know. I don't know what he did with them once he got them home. I don't want. I mean, unlike Jeffrey Dahmer, who took body parts back and cooked them in his apartment, I don't think Ted Bundy did that. But okay, so all of Ted Bundy's victims had a similar look. What was it and why?
Female.
Yes,
They looked
and
female. Oh, let's see here. They looked like his mom.
close. They looked like his ex-girlfriend who supposedly broke his heart, and they all had straight dark brown hair with a part in the middle.
Damn it,
Just
that's
like-
my type.
So, how many times did Ted Bundy escape?
Never.
I like your trick question.
Yeah.
He escaped, I want to say more than 2, less than 4. Final answer.
Adam?
So before he said that, I was thinking 3, but I'll say 4.
All right. Well, it's actually 2.
Oh, what? That's a boring answer.
2 times.
2 times, yeah. He was representing himself in court, so he didn't have handcuffs on.
And he just blitzed.
And he asked the judge if he could go and research something in the courthouse library, and then jumped out the second-story window.
Did he break his ankle?
Yeah, he sprained his ankle, and then but he got away for a few days.
Did he kill on that time when he was away?
Oh, he did kill. I don't know if it was that time, but he did kill one time.
One time when he escaped. Ooh, that's on the authorities.
So the last and final question.
The last Bundy fun fact.
Was Ted Bundy a married man?
Was he taken? Sorry, ladies. Ted Bundy's taken. So he posed as married, but he actually wasn't.
Oh, you're still going the trick question.
Always.
I'm not ever trying to trick you.
That's not true. That's just not
Ted
true.
Bundy, yeah. Ted Bundy was totally married.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. So he took advantage of a weird law in Florida that, like, if you made the declaration of marriage in a court in the presence of a judge, then it was a legal marriage.
While he was being tried for murder?
Yes. Well, he was being tried for murder, and he was representing himself. He brought in a woman, Carol Ann Boone.
No way.
And they got married during his
Oh my God.
murder.
And then he claimed crime of passion, and he was let go?
No.
Carol Ann Boone is the only person crazier than Ted Bundy.
Yeah, I think she had his kid.
So
and
she
then,
had a little Bundy of joy.
Oh.
That concludes Ted Bundy's Fun Fact Quiz.
Bundy's are fun.
Serial killers, it's what's for dinner. Do you think any serial killers really got into watching these shows and then they're like, I think I could do that?
Nope.
No.
Well, I think that they're so hot right now that we have yet to see,
Well, if they watched them, they would probably never get caught because
they know all the things. Yeah,
know all the tricks.
true. And it takes a while to become a serial killer, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to kill so many people.
And you have to go to training.
Serial killer training? Is that like a boot camp?
You
somewhere?
gotta train and practice and know how to make the cuts. You didn't just wing it.
know how to make the
How do you practice?
Practice on mannequins, dolls, animals. No? None of you never practiced?
No, never.
Neither have I.
Not all true crime is serial killers, but those are some of the best ones. Some of them are, yeah. Some of them are just crimes of passion that never got solved, or oftentimes they become famous because the accused or the murdered is attractive,
Like the Amanda Knox
Yeah.
story, yeah. Foxy Noxy.
Foxy Noxy.
I mean, that's such a better story to tell than some guy broke in the house and raped and murdered her. It was sex crazed, beautiful American woman living in Italy.
Oh yeah, she was sex crazed.
Yeah, which, there was nothing to back that up. She had sex with 7 men. What a whore.
Do you guys remember Unsolved Mysteries? The show?
yeah.
I loved that show when I was a kid because I think, how some people are really scared by horror films? Mm-hmm. I am not. Unsolved Mysteries creeped me out because it was all about murderers who are still on the loose. I had nightmares about Robert Stack. He was kind of creepy the way he delivered. I just read that about 200 out of 367 cases that were on that show have been solved.
Wow.
That's over 50%.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It was not just murder porn, actually to catch people.
How fun.
Isn't that what we're doing?
Actually, let's do a quiz. What actor got his first professional acting gig in a reenactment of Unsolved Mysteries?
I peeked.
You peeked?
Stack. Robert Stack.
No, he was...
Get off your phone and
No,
Okay,
gotta
so
schedule
I'll
a
give you a
massage.
hint.
it's the last before I fly out.
I hope it's the massage murderer.
good one.
Okay, I'll give you some more clues. What Academy Award winner got his first professional acting gig as a reenactment on Unsolved Mysteries? Hint, he played a shirtless victim.
Is that a good hint? A Robert Chest?
All right. And I think you should guess it.
I keep getting murdered.
Oh,
They
but
stay
Alright.
the same age.
All right.
You sort
That
of
guy.
got it.
The guy from Dazed and
Yeah,
Confused.
Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey got his first professional acting gig shirtless as a murder victim on Unsolved Mysteries.
But he was obviously asking for to be murdered
Yeah,
because
because
he was shirtless.
Yeah, the shirt off.
Yeah.
That's what you get. I'll bet you he was from the South, too. Just guessing. Has Matthew McConaughey played anyone that wasn't Southern? Ever?
I don't know. Is he from the South?
Yes. He's from Texas.
Well, it's his thing. He's a one-trick pony.
So, if anyone knows a Matthew McConaughey role where he actually had to hide his accent, let us know. Because I think he has depth. I don't know. But I think he has depth.
This is your chance to be a true detective.
Serial killer gang.
Two true crimes and a lie. Two true crimes and a lie.
Serial killer gang.
Serial killer game.
Yes.
Can
the
I play?
Serial killer game.
Yeah, you can play. Everyone wants to play the serial killer games.
For ages. 6 and up.
It's like a two true crimes and a lie kind of game.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, you know that formula where I read you 3 stories and 2 of them are true and 1 of them is not true.
Oh.
I think I've played this game in a hot tub.
I have 3 serial killer stories for you, and you have to tell me which one is not true.
I think Adam's won.
Every time in
2 to
history,
0,
I'm
huh?
completely undefeated.
Ah, damn.
Okay.
I need to win one.
I need
Hopefully
to
you
win.
can slay this round.
I won bundles of fundy facts.
Bundles of fun. All right. First story. John Robinson gave his brother one of his victim's children, saying that it was a legal adoption. And he even charged his brother a bogus adoption fee. Number 2. Carlene Ratcliffe. She was known for cutting the ears off of her victims and giving them to her 3 house cats to play with. An ear was discovered by a postman after one of the cats apparently drug its play toy outside. Story number 3. Dana Sue Gray said that she killed her victims to support her overwhelming need to shop. She stole cash and credit cards from her victims to help support her lifestyle.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
What was a serial killer about the first one?
Oh, John
He just
Robinson.
gave his kid?
Yeah, no, he was a serial killer who killed many women, and he gave his brother
There
one
we
of the
go.
victim's children.
Okay. I didn't.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Save the children.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to grow up without any parents.
I know. Mine.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, serial killers are all evil. So that first guy trying to have that positive redeeming trait, not real.
It's very, very rare that there's lady serial killers, especially cat ladies serial killers.
That's a different kind of sickness.
Yeah, that'd be a cool shirt.
Oh, that would be super trendy right now.
Oh, yeah.
Given the popularity of cats
like
and
an ugly
serial-
sweater. That's like the lady, a cat lady, and she's giving him bloody ears. Ear kitty, kitty, kitty.
It was the perfect crime.
Oh, nice.
She got away 9 times.
There was not enough forensic.
Oh, forensic evidence. Yeah, I think that one's the lie. What's the answer?
You're right.
Oh.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
John Robinson, actually, I think he killed, I want to say 44, but I could be wrong about that. But women, he took one of the victim's children, and he gave it to his brother,
Sold.
like posed it as this like legal adoption, and charged his brother adoption fees.
Bless his heart.
Well, you gotta pay for
All your murder tools.
supplies.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's a costly thing. Being a serial killer is costly.
All right, you ready for the second serial killer stories?
Yeah.
2 true crimes and a lie. Tom Husky, the zoo killer of Tennessee, blamed the murders on his split personality named Kyle. Then, during the trial, another split personality appeared, this time a British man, and he came to protect Tom from Kyle.
Tomfoolery.
You-
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in that courtroom and it's like, do you have anything to say for yourself? And he's like, hello, governor. And they all start, like, everyone starts laughing because they're like, wow, that's a bad British accent. What if it was Matthew McConaughey's voice, his like third personality? All right.
Now, Kyle, you don't be mean to Tom now, all right?
All right.
All right, second one. Alyson Hannigan. She's the actress from How I Met Your Mother and American Pie. She was tried for stabbing and accidentally killing a man she believed to be a vampire. Although she admitted to the stabbing, she claimed self-defense and temporary insanity, stating that her reality had been shifted due to too many hours on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
What? I never hear about this.
Robert Hansen, an avid hunter in the Alaskan wilderness, would capture his victims, release them into cabins, and then hunt them.
Ooh. The deadliest game.
You go first.
That's a tough one. What's the girl's name? Flanagan?
Hannigan.
Hannigan? She was in American Pie?
Yeah, she's like the band camp girl.
Oh, her that stuck the flute up her pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time at band camp, I murdered a vampire. I've never heard this Flanagan story, but... Hannigan, sorry. But I haven't seen her in anything since. Have you?
I mean, I don't even remember her from those movies, so...
She was great. But, some of the best actors are psychos.
Yeah.
Well, we touched some of that on our last episode.
Yeah.
A lot of them are controlled by the Illuminati.
I'm going with the Alaskan Bushman Deadliest Game. I think that's made
The second person can't pick the same one.
You can pick the same one.
Oh, I can.
And you
okay.
get a point.
So that's not
You
a
both
rule.
get a point. Rule clarification.
Yeah. For purpose of strategy, since I don't have a clear idea, I'm going to choose that one as well.
Oh.
Then it's a guaranteed tie.
Well, I hate to tell you, you're both wrong.
Oh.
Alyson Hannigan is innocent. She never tried to kill anyone.
that up.
I made that up.
See, I just did. I was gonna.
Okay, so he's got one and I have one.
This one is about the names of serial killers. 2 true names and a fake name. We have the Moonlight Murderer. And he was a killer in the 1940s.
He sounds romantic.
He actually killed couples that were necking in their cars. Then we have the Doodler, and he...
Wow.
The Doodler.
The doodler abides.
Doodler.
The Doodler.
The doodler.
The Doodler.
Not the doodler.
Doodler. The Doodler. He drew characters of his victims and then gave them the pictures as like a sweet and innocent gesture to then lure them into his home.
That works, by the way.
And then we have the Oil Barrel Killer, who killed and dismembered his victims and stashed their body parts in oil barrels.
And then made some steel drums. Ding, 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 ding.
So the Doodler, the Oil Barrel Killer, or the Moonlight Murderer?
I'm going to go with the Moonlight Murderer is fake.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm going with the doodler. I just have a hard time seeing that as a headline on a newspaper. The doodler strikes again. Could have called him like the caricature killer.
Well, apparently that name was good enough. The fake one was the Oil Barrel Killer.
We both lost.
You
won that.
lost, but you won the
I won the game.
Win
What did I
the
win?
chance to become your own very best serial killer.
Okay, my serial killer name would be the Guitar Stringer, and I would play like a little lullaby songs to people and lure them into my house, and then I choke them with my guitar string. Serial killer gang.
2 true crimes and a lie. 2 true crimes and a lie.
Serial killer gang. True crime though is awesome,
And it's awesomely popular right now.
It's super pops right
When
now.
I was looking for podcasts recently, like 5 out of the top 10 of the most popular podcasts right now are all true crime things.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever heard one where there's been any sort of conclusive ending.
No, there's like never any resolution there. It's just
10 hours of like just looking at evidence and then saying, I wish we could just put a neat bow on this, but we can't. Unfortunately, we don't know. But you know what's crazy though is now since DNA testing came about, like a lot of old crimes have been solved. Like ones from like even all the way back to like the 50s or something, 60s. They're like solving these crimes because they got DNA. So there's a whole like bunch of shows like Forensic Files where
dig up old.
they dig up old things and then they're like in lab coats and then we're like, well, we exonerated this guy because we actually finally did DNA testing.
Can you imagine being a murderer and being like, you were just like free for 40 years and you got away with murder, and then they come and arrest you and you're like, I am a changed man, like I'm a different person. That was 40 years ago. I don't even, like, that's not even a part of myself I honor and recognize anymore. I mean, fuck.
Well,
life's hard.
He still murdered someone. You're going to jail.
Yeah, I guess like if you get a life sentence, then it's a lot shorter at that point.
You gave that person a life sentence to death.
What? Is that your next book?
The person you killed, you gave them a life sentence to death.
Life sentence to death. The new crime thriller by Adam Doyle.
The minds of the killers is what intrigues me.
The funny thing about serial killers, it's like, it's not like they don't want to get caught. There's a little part of them that wants the like fame.
The notoriety.
And that's why
the cat and mouse. How smart am I? Can I outsmart the world? Bone Collector, though, that serial killer was very smart.
Is that real?
No, Denzel Washington. Oh man, the clues
okay,
are out of this world.
It's true crime.
True
it's
crime.
True
That's not
crime.
true.
Not
Okay.
near truth.
Yeah.
It's just true.
Okay.
Yeah, in true crime, the detectives don't always win. That's the difference. So,
Bone Collector, watch it.
Adam and I have been working on a 10-part podcast about the recent acquittal of Carlene Ratcliffe, the cat lady killer.
The name of the podcast is called Inconclusive.
We're going to debut our new true crime podcast, Inconclusive, the untold story of the cat lady killer. We have with us today Carlene Ratcliffe. She was acquitted just last month on all counts of murder. I want to thank you, Carlene, for coming in. You are such a delight to talk to.
Oh, you are so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, but you don't have to call me the cat lady killer anymore because I didn't kill anybody, and certainly not with my cats.
Of course, yeah. What I want all our listeners to know is if they haven't seen a picture of Carlene, Carlene is a very good-looking young woman. A lot of people don't really know who you are, and so that's why we have you here. Mm-hmm. It says here you are the founder of the Matthew McConaughey fan club. That's really
Matthew, if you're listening, I just want to say hi.
What got you into that?
I mean, aside from my cats, I've had a pretty lonely life. I think part of that is because I know that Matthew McConaughey and I are destined to be together, and it's hard when you're holding out for your one true love. You know, it's hard to find other love to just fill the time in between.
So you've never dated anyone?
No, sir.
How old are you?
Well, a woman's never supposed to tell her age.
Fair enough.
Oh, you asking all the hard questions.
Where are you from again?
Taos, New Mexico, because it's just so delightful and remote, and I really feel like I can get away and look out on the beautiful skyline. And
so, could you say that this recent acquittal has given you kind of a new lease on life? You know, moving to Taos.
It has helped me reunite with my cats, which I was separated from for god-awful long amount of time. But my feline friends have really been there for me, and it was a horrible thing when I couldn't be there for them because they weren't getting the proper mix of Friskies and the dry food that they like.
Yeah.
that bond between your pets, and it's a hard one to break.
Would you say you have an unnatural bond with your pets?
No, I think if you do any amount of reading, you'd see that cats and humans have coexisted for centuries, and I think there's nothing unnatural about having relationships with animals, because they are really just people trapped in animal bodies.
We're an investigative journalism team, so we're going to probably ask some hard-hitting questions.
I understand that you probably want to further clear your name, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't quite convinced that you didn't kill those people.
Yeah, there's a lot of evidence.
And full disclosure, we were hired by the families of one of the victims, Bethany Boudreaux. We just want to have a conversation and try to pinpoint some of the things that are still left in the letterbox, if you will. So there was a postman that saw one of your cats. Do you remember which one?
I think that was probably Mr. Muffers. He's
Muffers.
the Persian. He's about 10 years.
Oh, you have a picture of it.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful cat.
He's
Really
my
is.
he's my pride and joy.
Yeah.
He escaped and he went outside, and I think he was playing with a pine cone or something, but the postman says that it was an ear, and he says he took it in to the police department, and I never saw the ear, so I can't say that there was an ear or wasn't an ear, because Mr. Muffers would never do that to me, or just he would never take an ear outside.
The biggest problem that Adam and I have right now is with the timeline. The timeline doesn't seem to match up, because it says here in your statement from October 12th, 2011, your statement is that you always let Mr. Muffins out.
Mr. Muffers.
Excuse me, Mr. Muffers.
Yeah.
You always let Mr. Muffers out at 8:30 a.m. every day. And then it says here the mailman would regularly deliver the mail at around 11:15 a.m. every day. We're having a problem with the timeline here. So if you could maybe talk a little bit about the timeline.
Well, so I do let Mr. Muffers out at 8:30 every day, so he can use the outside facilities, if you know what I mean. He's not a big fan of the litter and getting litter in his paws and stuff. So he goes outside, he just does his duty, and he never plays. So I know Mr. Muffers would never take anything that was from inside the house outside of the house. If I did have an ear, which I didn't have any ears, but if I did have an ear in my house and Mr. Muffers took it outside at 8:30 and the postman came at 11, well, then I would say that I'm sure another animal would come and get that bloody ear if it were outside. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that it would sit out there from 8:30 to 11. All right, that's just crazy.
So the whole case for me hinges around the ear.
The first ear.
Yeah.
The
first ear.
second and third ear, I understand. But the first ear is the one that I think is problematic.
I do want to get into how that ear it never made it to the evidence room. They couldn't do any DNA. Your alibi when the ear went missing is not very strong.
No, it's not strong at all.
May I ask you a question if I could?
Yeah.
Have you ever, especially during the holidays, have you ever wondered if the postman is going through your mail and seeing if there's any holiday checks coming in or anything like that? I thought maybe the postman was going through my mail, so that's why I gave him that call. And I simply just called him and asked him if he had seen anything, that was worth earmarking, if you will. That's probably bad timing for that kind of joke.
Yeah. In poor taste. So his allegations that he felt you were trying to bribe him with that statement, those aren't true?
No.
The pine cone, to this day you claim that Mr. Muffers brought in a pine cone. And is that a regular thing that Mr. Muffers does, is bring pine cones?
Sure. He's an old cat. He's 10, and 10 for a Persian cat is getting pretty up there. He often can't see very well. I mean, he often thinks that pine cones are mice, and so he brings them into the house as little gifts for me.
So it's very likely that Mr. Muffers could have thought an ear was a mouse as well.
Yes.
Okay. As we know, you were acquitted on all.
Yeah, which also is strange that there were 9 deaths.
Kind of a coincidence.
Sometimes there are coincidences, and sometimes they are just happy accidents.
I guess what I wanted to also touch on possibly is there is a restraining order that has been filed from Matthew Mcconaughey. Do you want to maybe speak on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. I think sometimes I can get a little overzealous and excited. And, in this world, people are just so uncomfortable with their feelings. And I think that, Matthew got a little uncomfortable with this overwhelming joy and love he was feeling and feeling from me. I know that once Matthew spends more time with me, he'll really know that I am his true love,
Do you think that maybe it's a strange coincidence that Matthew McConaughey's former publicist is one of the deceased whose ear was found in the park near your house? Do you think that's a coincidence? Or
I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, yeah, one of the 9 counts of murder you were charged with. I believe her name was Darlene Johnson. She was Matthew McConaughey's former publicist. DNA evidence has proved that it is her ear. The body was not found.
I don't know Darlene, but it sounds like she just wasn't following orders and wasn't listening, and she probably got what was coming for her, but I really don't know.
You can guess all that just because she died?
Well, no one ends up dead if they don't have it coming, Does anybody do you guys want to take a break? We got some cookies and...
Oh, I would love some cookies.
I don't feel so good.
But let's keep going, and then we can take a break later and enjoy some of your refreshments. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
I guess I want to kind of, catch up with you a little bit now that you've been acquitted, you've moved to Taos. What have you been up to as a free woman? You have another chance.
I've mostly been fostering cats, cats that don't have homes, cats that need a second lease on life too. I understand that. I've been reading and I've been getting into a little bit of crochet work.
You brought some of your crochet work.
Yeah. This is one I called Sunrise Over Fur Puff. That's my littlest, youngest cat.
What's this one?
Oh, this one? This one is called Listen Here, Matthew.
And it's an ear?
It is. It's me whispering sweet nothings into... Obviously, you can tell this ear belongs to Matthew McConaughey.
I couldn't tell that.
It's exact replica of Matthew McConaughey's ear, and it's just me whispering sweet nothings into his ear.
Well, where's the rest of his head?
Well, you can see that I didn't have room to do the rest of his head on that crochet work.
Okay.
Why just the ear when you were accused of killing 9 people and...
Yeah, I guess what he means is
I think you're trying to draw conclusions that aren't here. You're trying to thread this together, and there isn't nothing to thread together. Okay,
it's creepy.
I had you here into my home. I offered you to come in and talk and eat snacks and enjoy my presence, and you come in here and you accuse me of murdering people that I was found not guilty of murdering.
How many cats do you have now?
Thank you. I have 16 cats.
16 cats.
Yes.
How many did you have at the time that you were accused?
3 cats.
The neighbors said they looked in the windows and saw at one time up to 100 cats.
When you're fostering cats, sometimes cats come, they go. My door is always open to any cat that wants a hot meal and a warm bed. And if a cat needs a home, then my door is wide open to that cat.
Okay. How do you feel about homeless people? Would you ever consider giving them a home?
No, sir, I would not.
And why?
Because they do not offer the same kind of love and loyalty that a cat can offer me.
It sounds to me like you have contempt for other humans.
You haven't dated anyone. You'd foster 100 cats and overfeed them.
Why are you questioning me? I told you why I have not dated anyone, and you keep bringing it up. I haven't explained it in the first place, okay?
Can you talk about the relationship with your parents?
My parents are dead. They have been dead since 1998.
How did they die?
They are disappeared persons.
As we know, this evidence was not allowed in the case.
It's hard for you to talk about that.
Well, wouldn't it be hard for you to talk about your dead parents, too?
Definitely.
But it doesn't seem that hard for
you. It was 1998, okay? I've had some time to process it.
Okay, and then let me ask a different question. Did you kill your parents?
There is no evidence that suggests I killed my parents.
Sorry if I'm not as sweet as my colleague. I
think it's time for snacks.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling. She's gonna break.
Well, yeah, let's just ask a
couple
few more
more
questions. So we have a report filed here in January 2012 from Dr. Jane Fitz. She was the veterinarian who inspected all your cats, and her preliminary report was that all your cats were grossly overweight. She suspected that there was some kind of overfeeding. I just wanted to maybe hear your defense of that, because nobody wants to
think that you fed the cats the dead bodies.
Right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That is so. Listen, nobody likes to be body shamed, and not even cats. And I think we should just leave the cat's body fat percentage out of it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just not fair to them.
How did you feed them? How were your cats, without body shaming them, how were they overweight, and how could you feed 100 cats? There's no explanation except for victims, dead bodies.
Listen, there's always a way to put food on a table. If you have hungry kids, you will feed your hungry kids, okay? I mean, I would do anything for those cats, and especially keep them well fed. And I mean, I just scraped and saved and, pretty much did everything short of killing for those cats.
Well, bless your heart. It's a very, very noble thing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I guess I have one more line of questioning here.
Yeah.
You've signed the rights off of your story already for a whopping $2.3 million docuseries coming out called Ear Kitty Kitty.
So cute. I love that.
And I kind of wanted to maybe talk about that. You having such a big heart. What would make you do something like this, of sell your story, which is maybe some people would see that as profiting off of the loss of 9 lives?
Yes, so some people would see it as profiting off of the dead, but I see it as a way to promote cat health and well-being and safety, and it's a way for me to get money to help save as many cats as I can.
So you've used the money to start a new shelter and a cat sanctuary. And what's that called?
It's called Forensic Friends.
Oh, okay.
I am trying to train my cats to solve crimes. As someone who was, falsely accused of murder.
That's amazing.
Isn't it so sweet?
That's such a great idea.
I thought, thank you.
At first I thought, cat lady killer, she's made 2.3 mil off of this story, is screaming this sociopathic kind of thing. But, it sounds to me like you really are concerned with humanity, and you want to make the world a better place for cats and through cats. And I value that. And I want to thank you for coming in and doing this interview and answering some really hard questions, because I know it's hard for you because you've been through a lot.
Thank you for understanding.
Adam?
I don't feel the same way. I'm not convinced, and 9 people are dead, and I don't hear an ounce of remorse. All you care about are your damn cats. I'm not convinced that you did it, but I definitely think you did. So I'm sorry.
Well, it was nice to have you here, Ethan.
Yeah, we'll have some cookies, and join us next week where we follow up on the next part of the story, Ear Kitty Kitty, Cat Lady Killer. We are going to actually have Mr. Muffers in here, and we're going to try to hear Mr. Muffers' side of the story. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I have a backyard. He's not called the Backyard Killer, but I call him my Backyard Killer, Christian Longo.
Oh, yeah. He was a Jehovah's Witness who had money troubles his whole adult life, and he was very haunted by his lack of success. So he murdered his family. And then he assumed someone else's name and bounced to Mexico. He
literally dropped 2 of his 3 kids in the bay right behind my house.
I was there. We were at your house that night, and I remember hearing the splash.
September 13th, 2009. In a small suburb of Knoxville, Tennessee, Bethany Boudreaux was driving her 92 Chevy Impala to her first day of college. Unfortunately, she would never make it there. Bethany became the first victim in a string of 9 unsolved murders, in which the murderer ruthlessly removed the ears of their victims.
Bethany was my fiancée. We were getting ready to start a new life together at college, and she never made it to college because she was murdered.
Knox County deputy here. I had never seen anything like this. Before they brought in forensic experts, I didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. Never seen anything like it.
With no leads, Knox County authorities called on forensic scientists to help solve these gruesome crimes.
My name's Dan Hannigan. I'm the founder of UV Forensics Technologies. We're out of Santa Barbara, California. The Knox County officials called us in to do some tests on the Bethany Boudreaux case. And we came in with our kit. Right here we use 10,000 watt UV light, which is able to trace any sort of biological materials around the scene. And so we brought these lights to the scene to inspect the area, and we used a 10-kilometer peripheral. Let's just say we found a lot of samples.
Hey, Sal Steinberg here. I am the DA in Knox County. We recently purchased a forensic robot that's able to detect body fluids, similar to what a UV light is, but in those hard-to-reach spaces. The forensic robot can get in, and it has basically got every bell and whistle you can imagine. I don't understand it, but I know that it works. We call him Mr. Buddy. I think without that guy, I don't think we'd have solved this crime.
The good thing about the Mr. Buddy technology is that you actually don't have to send a human in there to operate it, because the Mr. Buddy will go in there, will find all the biological matters, and then we can bring it back and examine it under more powerful UV light.
Dan Hannigan developed the Mr. Buddy. What they're doing there in Santa Barbara, I just want to take my hat off to them. I think they're saving a lot of lives, and they're putting a lot of perps behind bars.
With advances in forensic science, investigators were able to obtain biological samples from 3 distinct individuals. Saliva from Carlene Ratcliffe, semen from a Caucasian male, and an unknown biological sample.
I seen Carlene Ratcliffe before. I live right next to her, and I seen her going in there with a big truckload of all the kitty litters. I had seen her on the night of the murders. She was coming in late with one of those truckloads. I could tell it was the kitty litters because I get the same type of kitty litter, and I know Carlene Ratcliffe, she stole one of my cats before, and I wouldn't doubt it if she would have killed that young girl and the others.
Daryl Hannah, local plumber in the Knox County area. I went and checked out Carlene's house one time. She had got some backed up pipes, and I found bones. Bones were clogging her pipes. You know, she said they were chicken bones. She took them out of my hand, told me to leave, threw money at me, told me to get out of her house, that my job was done. I ate chicken, and those were not chicken bones. And the woman didn't even have any toilets. It was just litter boxes with pipes underneath them. And that's some creepy shit.
No, we were able to easily obtain the original 3 samples of the biologicals and bring them back to the laboratory. It was very, very simple to identify the Carlene Ratcliffe sample. And then once we were given the bone matter, which was recovered later, we were able to actually identify fragments of Bethany Boudreaux. Now, the interesting thing is, once held under the UV light, we were able to really unravel the mystery that is the Boudreaux case.
At the DA's office, we eventually made the call to send Mr. Buddy out on the job. We needed to find out what the source of that third unidentified fluid was.
The problem with going down into sewage systems is very harmful for the forensic team. And so by utilizing Mr. Buddy, we're able to actually put him into the sewer line and really find as many biological samples as we can. And boy, did we find some samples.
I am a forensic robot.
Now, Mr. Buddy here is, he's programmed to actually speak so that if he does encounter other people, he's able to talk his way through the process. And we'll show you a little bit how Mr. Buddy operates.
Entering crime scene in Knox County.
Now, we are actually, we're moving Mr. Buddy through the system right now. He's halfway through. And then if you'll notice right here, there's a blockage.
Detecting blockage. Moving blockage.
Okay, good. And
Blockage moved.
And if you look over here, you'll see that Mr. Buddy, this is actually the primary sample point right here where we're going to actually take our samples from.
Searching for samples. Searching for semen. Searching for semen detected. Semen detected.
Good. Okay, it seems that Mr. Buddy has detected some semen.
Inserting semen.
Okay.
Inserting semen. Semen inserted. And scanning for match.
Now, the great thing about Mr. Buddy here is that it will automatically upload the samples.
Match detected.
Yeah, so we have a match here, and we're going to take this back to the lab and have it analyzed.
Positive confirmation ID. Mr. Muffers.
Is Mr. Muffers?
Mr. Muffers is 10-year-old Persian cat owner Carlene Ratcliffe.
The semen from Carlene Ratcliffe's prized 10-year-old Persian cat, Mr. Muffers, was recovered from the crime scene. With state-of-the-art UV detection and crime-busting robotics, the authorities were brought one step closer to justice.
Yeah, once we got a positive ID match on that cat skeet, we realized we had to drop the charges on Carlene. Never had to build a case against a cat before, but we're gearing up to crush some serious puss down here at the precinct.
So with the biological match, the semen samples that Mr. Buddy gathered, we were able to cross-reference of the
9 positive cross-reference analysis. Mr. Muffers confirmed ID on all 9.
What we were able to find is that there was a biological sample left from Mr. Muffers on the 8 other victims.
Semen everywhere.
That's the amazing thing about the technology today is we're able to compare samples and bring some justice through modern technology. All right. Matthew Mcconaughey here, and I knew something was strange with Carlene Ratcliffe's cat, Mr. Muffers. She used to send me those cat pictures, and I would see it in his eyes that cat was for blood. All I know is that Carlene Ratcliffe, she belongs in jail because anyone that could stand by a murderous cat like that deserves to go to jail. And I did send her a picture thanking her for the cat photos, but I do want to see justice for Bethany Boudreaux and the other victims, and I am working on a movie called Ear Kitty Kitty about whether or not she's guilty. I'd also like to drop the restraining order I had on Carlene Ratcliffe and let bygones be bygones, and she can come on over anytime she wants, and we can talk mano about this. All right.
Forensic robotics solves yet another string of previously unsolved murders, proving again that science is definitely smarter than the criminal. Tune into UV Detectives next week for Hotel Homicides.
Yeah, we had to bring the big dogs in here because there's biological samples everywhere. So we borrowed a 10,000 watt UV light, and Mr. Buddy we brought in.
Semen overload. Cross-reference analysis impossible. Too much semen. I've never seen so much semen in my life.
Oh, jeez.
We had to bring in the big dogs.
Well, I guess that's the end of episode 3.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like a little tickled, like it was really funny, but also it was pretty dark. So.
It's kind of scary stuff. Yeah, thanks for listening to the FlopCast.
And thanks to Anthony McCarthy for the music.
Thanks to our underwriters.
What?
No, we don't have any. But
What?
but if you want to be an underwriter and help sponsor the podcast, that would be awesome. You can find us at
FlopHausProductions.com. Now that's house, Haus, like the German. You can also find us on Facebook,
Yeah.
which is Italian.
For Facebook.
So again, thanks for listening, and please subscribe, like, and follow us.
Don't just share the fuck out of this.
Yeah. We've been working on this for a long time. Glad y'all get to see it.